Am I the asshole for telling my friend, who is vegan and doesn't drink, that I'm tired of catering to her choices? My 50F friend Lauren, 46F, is a vegan who doesn't drink. That's awesome and I have no issue with that. The problem is that she is part of a small group of friends who don't get out very often, but when we do it always has to be limited due to Lauren's choices. We live in an area where our food choices suck to begin with, so having to go to eat where she can be satisfied is very limited. There really isn't much to do otherwise at night. In addition, she gets upset when any one of us eats something that has an obvious meat to it. For example, she doesn't say anything if we get a soup with chicken or something, but if we ordered a hamburger she would cause drama. Then she doesn't drink, which is no big deal, but she will then send us videos on the harmful effects of alcohol if we get a drink or two with dinner. It has gotten on my nerves to say the least. It's been a while now, so I am done with everyone catering to her needs. I have tried inviting everyone to specific places and invited Lauren as well. Then she puts into a group chat, "Hey ladies, since I can't eat at X, why don't we go to Y?" Then of course the other ones decide we should go to Y instead. I have backed off of going out because I don't want to spend money on food that sucks. Remember, it's vegan not vegetarian, so it's very limiting. And is expensive, or have my intelligence questioned by sending shit about the effects of alcohol as if we are not beyond old enough to know or Google it. I barely drink anyway but enjoy a glass or two every so often. She asked why I keep bailing, so I told her I respect your choices but by the very nature of them they have limited mine. Being that I don't have the ability to go out often nor unlimited funds, I am only going to go when I know the entire experience will be what I want. So if I'm in the mood for a steak and a vodka tonic, I want to have them in a relaxed atmosphere, and that obviously bugs you. If I'm in the mood for a salad and water, I will gladly join you, or we can just hang out at the beach when we have time during the day. She didn't like that too much. She said that isn't what friendship is about and I should enjoy the company enough not to care. I told her that I understood and I would gladly hang out with her when food or drink isn't in question because it's too expensive not to enjoy it. She said that there is nothing else to do around here. Then I asked if it's just about friends. Maybe she can eat first and join us out sometimes, and other times we can go to where she wants. She then told me that she's not going to sit around watching people eat meat. I said, okay, I get it, and you need to get that I'm not catering to your needs each time I'm free to hang out. I later got a text from a mutual friend that Lauren was upset, but she agreed with me because she was tired of the same shit. Of course this friend doesn't like conflict, so just listen to Lauren. So AITA for not wanting to continue to eat food I don't like or refrain from having a drink or two to keep the peace here, or am I right in feeling like she's being selfish expecting the rest of us to do what she's comfortable with each time? Relevant comments. Comment 1, NTA, but drop the friends that don't like conflict. Why surround yourself with spineless morons? OP, true, it was all getting on my nerves and why I was happy not going anymore. However, I sometimes wonder if I'm an asshole when others just easily bend to other people. I appreciate that. Comment 2, NTA, Lauren is an ass though. The condescending comments about meat and alcohol are beyond me. OP, the alcohol really pissed me off. It was such a self-righteous type of behavior to me. Comment 3, NTA. She's exactly right, that isn't what friendship is about, and so why can't she enjoy hanging out with her friends who are allowed to eat and drink whatever they want, while she eats and drinks what she wants? I'm sorry, there's probably not a great ending here, but the way she's framed the situation can easily be turned around back on her, so she's not right. Neither is she wrong. It just may be that you two are incompatible as friends. OP, yes, I'm feeling we are not a good fit. To be honest, I am working hard on setting boundaries, but sometimes I question if I'm not going overboard, especially when many other women my age seem to just go along with something. I felt like she was being extremely selfish but thought I could be missing something, and why I asked. OP on if she had a problem with Lauren being a vegan and doesn't drink. OP, no. The problem is that I'm expected to become a vegan and not drink in her presence. I don't care what she does, but she cares what I do and the other women as well. OP on the food choices in the area. OP, nice try. I live in a small beach town. There is shitty food to begin with, so the options are extremely limited here. So I can't tell you how many salads I have been limited to eating while going out with her. There are no solely vegan restaurants and very few that have vegan options. She doesn't make it worthwhile to listen to negativity to get what you actually want, so that leaves fucking salad. So just because you misinterpret what I meant or assume the worst in people doesn't mean you're right. Fucking fame? Seriously. Damn. I thought my life was pretty lame just asking this question, and to think someone thinks I'd actually make this shit up. FFS. Update. Thank you so much to the countless people who commented on my post shown below. You made me realize that I wasn't an AH and shouldn't have put up with her BS. Many asked how I put up with it for so long. I don't have a good answer, but it was more about the group itself where I didn't want to create drama. My experience with friends has been lucky, as most everyone has been loving, fun and selfless. We can also call each other out on BS by busting chops and laughing. This was my first group who met semi-regularly, and the others were very sweet to where I felt uncomfortable rocking the boat. Anyway, yesterday it was a bazillion degrees out here in Florida and I was playing tennis with Lauren and 2 others. We were dying. I don't normally play with her, but these women are all on my team I joined coming up in the fall, so we needed to start practicing. No, I did not join because of Lauren. LOL. I've played against the other 2 throughout the years and they have been asking for me to play for a long time now. I live in a small area, so it's common for circles to mix like this. One of the ladies had to stop due to dizziness, cramping and nausea. We all decided that we should only play much earlier in the summer. Except of course Lauren, who didn't want to wake up early because she said she didn't play well then. That's when I had it. With the power of thousands of random Reddit strangers in my head, I basically told her off. I told her I've never met someone so self-absorbed in my entire life, and it was disgusting that she would even think that way in front of a teammate who clearly had heat exhaustion, let alone have it come out of her mouth. I said all this while her ass was sitting down, while the other woman and I got a cold wet towel for this woman and got her to drink. Lauren stormed off. These other 2 thanked me. One was her usual partner, who is the sweetest person alive and said she has been wanting to tell her off for a year now. The other one, who was feeling like shit, said she is going to tell the captain that she needs to go because she is like a cancer on the team. I am very happy to say that I will not be dealing with her selfish BS any longer. She can go shove a carrot up her ass for all I care. LOL, thanks so much everyone. Tonight I'm going to have a giant hamburger and a cold beverage in your honor. Cheers. Relevant comments. OP not respecting Lauren's wishes and trying to make this whole thing about herself and not Lauren. OP, I did say something and suggested other things. She wasn't having it. I wasn't pouting. We are busy and have lives, so this isn't the end of the world, and I was quite happy with that choice. I kindly told her my feelings and she told me I wasn't being a good friend because it isn't about the food. So then why do we have to eat her shit every time then? I wasn't hurt over the videos. It was fucked up to cross others' boundaries like that, as she was some self-righteous queen of health. She's controlling, as thousands have pointed out. That should be clear with her not budging on playing in the mornings after her teammate got sick from the heat. I spoke with her already calmly and nicely. She never budged and only expected me to continue to bend to her needs, inferring I was not a good friend. I still ended that conversation in a respectful manner to then learn she goes to a mutual friend to bitch about me. It was after the above that I felt she was extremely selfish, but I still wasn't sure because she turned it around on me. That's why I came here to Reddit. I didn't go off on her about the food. I went off on her because there was a woman about to throw up due to extreme heat. While another woman and myself were trying to cool her down and make sure she was okay, Lauren made it again about her. She sat there bitching about not wanting to play earlier because she doesn't play well early in the morning. BTW, that is complete bullshit because the matches start early in the mornings and she's played in this league for many years. I'm sorry, but you must be extremely infuriating to anyone who needs your help and needs you to listen. You fill in gaps to stories that don't exist. You assume what people are feeling and why they have done certain things and then come across in a very pompous manner that you are correct. Yes, you're absolutely correct to the shit you literally made up in your head. However, you are very far off from what happened with me, how I felt and why I acted the way I did. Now to the next story, story 2. When a girl in the gym asked for help while recording, I refused, sparking an unexpected turn of events. Was I wrong? I think I acted rudely with a girl in the gym and wanted to get opinions on if I was the AH in this situation. I, 41M, go to the gym early in the morning around 5:30 a.m. There are generally very few people that come to the gym at that time. There is a girl, early 20s, that also comes to the gym at the same time. We always say hello to each other and have small talk between our sets. She comes in early because the gym is empty, and she likes to record herself working out as she wants to be a fitness influencer or something. She seems dedicated and we have known each other for at least a year. This morning, as I was working out, she came to me and asked for help. She was very excited and told me that she wanted to go for a PR on barbell squat. She asked me if I could spot her as she was not confident if she would be able to do it. I said okay, as this is not the most uncommon thing. For people who are unfamiliar, this is an exercise where you carry a barbell with weights on your back and perform a squat. The spotter has to stand behind the person and support the person in case they fail to get up. As she was getting ready, I saw her phone in the corner and asked her if I could be off camera or if she can stop recording. She said she really wanted to record herself doing it and I will look good on camera. I told her that I really do not want to be on camera as my wife or co-workers may watch the video if she posts it online and may not look good for me. Another reason that I did not tell her was that she was wearing a very revealing outfit, small sports bra and tight shorts, and I really did not feel comfortable being recorded standing behind her. She promised me that she will record it for herself, and not post the video. However, I just did not want to be recorded. I told her that I really feel uncomfortable. And if she waits for 30 minutes, one of the trainers may be able to help her. She became really upset and asked me why I'm making the situation weird. She accused me of sexualizing her. She asked me if she was a man, would I have done it? I felt she had a point as I have done it for other people. I told her that I would be okay doing it, but I just don't want to be recorded doing it. She again went on a rant about me body shaming her and me being uncomfortable with her perfectly fine outfit. I felt bad that I upset her as she was just trying to work out. I have also asked people to spot me in past, and people always helped. However, I just did not want to be recorded. Am I the to refuse to spot her because she was recording it? I don't want her to feel that it was because of her clothes, or because she is a girl. However, as a married man, I need to observe some boundaries and really don't want to be recorded in that way with a girl half my age. I am also worried that she recorded our whole conversation and may post it online. I do not know what I should do in this situation and am a bit worried. Relevant comments. Commenter, NTA. People who are pointing out the line of how you think it would look inappropriate if a coworker or wife saw you aren't familiar with lifting. If she reached failure, it would absolutely look bad on you, because people don't understand what spotting and having to assist with squats looks like. OP, that was exactly what went through my mind. Plus, who knows what commentary someone can put on top of those videos to make it go viral. Update. I had posted on a different forum 3 weeks ago about me refusing to help a girl in the gym for spotting her barbell squat because she was recording us. I did not think it would blow up so much that my wife got this story on her TikTok. What happened after was pretty unexpected and my life is a bit absurd right now. I was worried that she would post our conversation about me refusing her help online and show me as the bad guy. I told my wife about the conversation, and she said that she has seen posts where young girls do add nasty voiceovers and make men my age look like creeps for views. My wife told me that I should just complain to the gym management about her for recording me without my consent, just to get ahead of things. When I went to the gym next week, I saw her again. I tried to keep my distance, but she kept on smiling at me. As I finished my sets, she came to me and asked me if we could talk. She wanted to apologize for her behavior from the previous day and how it was wrong of her to assume that I would be okay with her recording me. It was a pleasant surprise, as I was not expecting that. I told her that it was okay, and I just don't like to be recorded in general. She followed me outside and continued the conversation. She asked me how long I have been working out and I could advise her on her form. I told her that there are some really good personal trainers in the gym I could recommend to her, but she told me that she is unemployed and cannot afford them. She told me she will buy me a coffee if I can give her some pointers. At this point, I felt I was just being rude and told her sure, and we went to a nearby coffee shop. Her name is Haley. She graduated last year, moved back to her mom's house and is looking for a job. She was very chubby last year and wants to look like the TikTok fitness models and is trying hard to get in shape. We had a nice conversation, and I was able to help her with some of her questions. She already knew my name and asked me if my wife would be okay if she follows me on Instagram. I told her that the main purpose of that account is for my wife to spy on my friends' lives, so I generally don't use it. She asked me if I use Snapchat, and I had to remind her that I am twice her age. This is where it got crazy. When I came home, I told my wife about what happened. My wife loves her Reels and TikTok and wanted to see if she ever posted the video from the previous week. I only knew that her first name was Haley and how she looked and told my wife about it. When I came back from work in the evening, my wife was already home and sitting on the sofa. She was grinning ear to ear and told me to immediately sit next to her. Apparently, this girl had been posing about me and calling me her gym crush for the last 2 months. My face is blurred out in all the videos. A lot of videos were of her sitting in her car every morning and making up completely fictional romantic stories about our interactions. Each video had like 100 plus likes, which my wife says is not a lot, but feels like a lot. She had posted some videos of us just passing each other and smiling, or our conversation where I was telling her to stop recording, with a voiceover about how I approached her in the gym and complimented her body. There was a video from that morning about her coming to me while I was packing up, with her saying how I asked her out for a coffee. She is just making up fictional romantic bullshit for getting likes, and people were commenting and cheering for her. There were also other videos of her working out and posing in the gym locker room. My wife was laughing uncontrollably about how big of a sucker I am and how I'm internet famous now. I told her this needs to stop, but my wife insisted that she is too invested in the drama now and wants to see what happens next. She said that this girl is really young, and just trying to establish herself and get more followers. Plus, she has not done anything inappropriate and is not showing my face in the videos. My wife just wants me to play along and see what crazy Haley does next. So for the last 2 weeks, I have been going to the gym, talking to her every day, and my wife keeps me updated on what story she came up with for the day. We go for a coffee every Wednesday and I am mentoring her about nutrition and what she should focus on, to the best of my abilities. It's all a game for my wife, and I do want Haley to succeed as long as she does not cross a line. However, the whole thing feels really crazy, and I'm too old to deal with this shit. I am not sure how long I can keep up with the act. Her behavior seems innocent, but also, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable with the whole thing now. Relevant comments. Did the girl know OOP is married? OP. Yes. She knows I'm married. I wear my ring in the gym, and also I talk about my wife all the time to her. I also feel it's a bit weird for a 22-year-old person to make up stories. My wife feels she is just using me as an NPC in her fiction to gain more viewers and create drama. We discussed it and she told me about how some girls just make up stories about bad first dates on TikTok as it gets them a lot of views. My wife feels it's weird, but I need to see the humor in this situation. At least it's entertaining and she wants to know where her story goes next. What was all about in the coffee discussion? OP. What are the coffee discussions like? It seems weird for her to do that. If it is just for TikTok attention, it's easier for her to make stuff up. The coffee discussions are very fitness oriented, and she genuinely has legit questions. We do discuss stuff about our lives, mostly hers, and she shares her struggles in getting a job and life in general for a Gen Z person. However, she has never said anything inappropriate. I feel she must have had some footage of me passing her and smiling and greeting her and just used that in her edits.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.
I was abandoned by my family due to my golden sister's success. Now she's begging for help as the family business falls apart. Hello Reddit, I, 32F, never imagined that I would be sharing my entire being online, but here I am. My life was completely upended in a way I never anticipated. I was expelled from the house by my parents. And why? Because I managed to pay for my MBA without their invaluable assistance, and my sister, 36F, the golden child, couldn't tolerate it. Although it's a lengthy tale, I need to vent and perhaps you guys might provide some guidance or simply a virtual shoulder to weep on. Allow me to illustrate the dynamics of my family for you. I've always been the underdog, the last in line, and the one who never quite fits in. It was obvious from the beginning that my sister was the favorite growing up in a suburban community just outside of Chicago. My folks would hold a parade if she received an A. It was like, oh cool, what's for dinner? If I received an A. You understand. Sarah, my sister, was always the center of attention. She seemed to do better at everything without really trying, and she was more attractive and gregarious. School plays? She took the lead. Captain of a sports team? Naturally. Grades? Perfect scores. I was the awkward bookish kid who didn't want to be in the spotlight and would rather sit in my room and code. My parents were enamored with Sarah as if she were a prodigy when she enrolled in a prestigious business school. They covered everything, including her tuition, fashionable clothes, her apartment in a fancy area of town, and even her excursions to Cancun over spring break. They were often boasting to anyone who will listen about their successful daughter because they were so proud of her. I kept my head down and assumed I would have to handle things alone in the interim. Despite taking out loans and working part-time jobs during my time in college, I was still able to earn honors in computer science. But was there a celebration for me? No, my mother just said, "Dear, that's nice. Have you looked at the pictures from Sarah's graduation? Wasn't she beautiful?" In the present, I have spent the last few years managing projects for a digital company. Although it pays the bills and is a fine job, I'm looking for more. One day, I hope to launch my own business, rise in my job, or even get into top management. I therefore made the decision to apply to a respectable university's MBA program. The catch? The cost of tuition is extremely high, 6 figures to be exact. I had the hope that my parents might lend me some support. After all, they funded Sarah's whole schooling, right? After a family supper one evening, I sat them down and, to my astonishment, the topic of conversation revolved around Sarah's most recent achievement at the family restaurant. I outlined my strategy, gave them an overview of the school, described how it would advance my career, and then tactfully brought up the topic of tuition. The expressions on their faces. It would seem as though I had asked them to sell their kidneys or something. They informed me outright that they couldn't pay my tuition, which is fine. I understand that MBAs are costly. But the fact that they refused to even co-sign a loan was what really infuriated me. I only wanted their assistance so I wouldn't be drowning in debt for the rest of my life, not to pay for everything. Their logic. We have already covered Sarah's tuition. Now is the time to consider our future. The worst part is that they also intended to grow the family restaurant. It seemed like they were investing all of their savings in that. What I was hearing was unbelievable. So you could afford Sarah's entire education, but you can't even co-sign a loan for me? Trying to speak steadily, I asked. Well, honey, Sarah's education was an investment in the family business, my mother boldly said. You have an MBA? That's only for you, isn't it? Only for me, as if I weren't related to them? As if they didn't care about my success? I was at a loss. My parents seemed to be putting unnecessary barriers in my path, but I didn't want to miss this chance. When it came to me, they had to be prudent and frugal, but they had no trouble spending a lot of money on Sarah. I had no choice but to ask my Aunt Margaret. Now, let me tell you that my dad's older sister, Aunt Margaret, is quite different from my parents. To be honest, she is far more successful than both of them and works as a neurosurgeon. She has always been nice to me though, and she's also quite grounded. There was always this strange tension between her and my parents. At family get-togethers, they would pretend to be courteous, but I could tell they were resentful of her success in comparison to their own. In particular, my dad detested feeling like he was overshadowed by her. When I was younger, I overheard arguments in which my dad accused Aunt Margaret of being conceited and defaming him. At first, I wasn't particularly interested in involving her, but I was desperate. One day, I contacted her to see whether she would be able to assist me with the tuition. I described the circumstances, my parents' refusal to assist, and the significance of this MBA to me. Aunt Margaret made no hesitation at all. Of course I'll help, she said. Why didn't you approach me earlier? It would be an honor for me to invest in your future because I've always believed you have a lot of promise. I felt so grateful, but I was also afraid my dad would find out. He would go crazy if he found out that I had approached his sister behind his back to request money. In order to keep it a secret, I pleaded with Aunt Margaret. Recognizing the complicated family dynamics at work, she concurred. After that, everything was well for a time. Since my tuition was paid for and I was preparing to begin my MBA school, I assumed I was safe. I felt both anxious and optimistic about the future. I felt like I was winning for once. Sarah made the decision to wreck everything at that point. I'm still not sure how she learned that I had asked Aunt Margaret for assistance. Perhaps she snooped through my emails when I wasn't looking, or perhaps she overheard a call. However, she did discover, and as the golden child that she is, she was unable to ignore it. She had to make it into a large, theatrical spectacle. After a long day at work, I was thrilled to share some news about my impending MBA orientation when I got home one evening. However, I could sense a problem as soon as I entered the room. The home was eerily silent, and the air felt heavy with stress. My heart fell as I walked to the living room. Everything I owned, including my books, clothes, and even my bedding, was put up in boxes. I felt as though the house was erasing me. Sarah was standing off to the side with this smug, self-satisfied expression on her face while my parents were seated on the couch, their emotions a mixture of disappointment and rage. I had the impression that I had entered a perverse intervention. My father wasted no time. Explain this, he asked, tossing me a pile of papers. I picked up the papers with trembling hands, not understanding a word he was saying. I became aware that Sarah had completely lost her mind at that point. She had created these fictitious emails between Aunt Margaret and me, giving the impression that I was betraying the family. The emails gave the impression that I had given Aunt Margaret the trade secrets of our family restaurant in return for her covering my tuition. Recipes, supplier details, and even the restaurant's finances were discussed. I didn't really have access to any of these things, but Sarah did. My eyes were unbelievable. After looking through my laptop, Sarah discovered several emails that I had sent with Aunt Margaret, which she subsequently altered using Photoshop or some other program. She painted me as a traitor of some sort, as though I had betrayed our family. I was taken aback. This isn't real. I stumbled my way out. These emails are fraudulent, I would never do this. My parents, however, didn't even pay attention. My mom was crying as they stood there, and my dad was furious and red-faced. He said, "We trusted you, and you stabbed us in the back." They trusted Sarah, regardless of what I said. Since they obviously did. She was always believed by them. It felt as though I had vanished from the world and that all the years I had spent being a good daughter, working hard and never getting into trouble, were in vain. I knew then and there that I would always be second best in their eyes. They would always have doubts about me. My father said, "You must go," in a chilly tone. "We won't have a traitor in this house." I pleaded with them to think again. I made an effort to clarify the MBA and how Aunt Margaret was only assisting me, much like they had assisted Sarah. My parents didn't care, but I didn't want to burden Aunt Margaret, especially since she had already promised to cover my tuition. They claimed I was a traitor and refused to interact with me. Sarah simply stood there the entire time, her arrogant expression never changing. Her eyes said louder than words could. She had prevailed. The sister, whom she always viewed as a rival, was finally gone. That was it. I only had a few boxes of my belongings and the clothing on my back when I fled. I noticed the neighbors looking out their windows while I was loading my car, presumably curious about the drama. I felt totally alone, deceived and embarrassed. As soon as I was in my car, I called Aunt Margaret, crying so hard that I could not speak. Without asking any questions, she told me to come to her apartment right away. Without her, I'm not sure how I would have made it through. I'm currently residing at Aunt Margaret's home. With her offer of a place to stay and her assurance that she still wants to assist with my MBA, she has been a tremendous support system. Nevertheless, I vividly remember that night. Sarah standing there with that arrogant expression on her face, knowing she had won, my parents glaring at me like I was a criminal, and all of my belongings packed away when I walked into my house. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do, Reddit. A part of me wants to defend myself and show that Sarah was lying. If I looked closely enough, I could certainly find proof that the emails were forged, but I also want to break all connections and never look back. For those who are so eager to assume the worst of me, why should I fight? How can I possibly comprehend this betrayal? Given that my own family has abandoned me, how can I go on? In a few weeks, the MBA program will begin and I should be thrilled. However, I'm coping with this emotional trauma instead. I keep going over everything again in my mind, wondering if I missed any clues. Was Sarah this cunning all the time? Were my parents as eager to discard me all the time? After this, how can I ever trust anyone again? Aunt Margaret advises me to concentrate on the chances my MBA will present for my future. Although it's difficult to look past the hurt and rage in the moment, she claims that achievement is the best form of retaliation. I would appreciate any guidance. From here, how do I reconstruct my life? Given that my own sister would go to such extent to harm me, how do I handle this? And when I feel so damaged on the inside, how do I interact with my MBA program instructors and classmates? Here, I feel like I'm drowning. Give me a lifeline, Reddit, if you can. Update 1. It's been a long time, 3 years to be precise, Reddit. Since I last wrote about my family throwing me out, a lot has happened. I wanted to let you know how things have progressed. I started by finishing my MBA program, which had a profound impact on me. I was in a lot of mental upheaval when I first started, but I was able to focus all of that energy on my academics. I graduated at the top of my class, but it wasn't easy. The girl who constantly felt inferior is no longer there. She has been replaced with a lady who is confident in her abilities and doesn't hesitate to express them. I got a job at a prestigious consulting business after graduating. I love my job, but it's tough. I'm in a setting where my abilities and diligence are truly valued for the first time in my life. No more living in the shadow of others. During all of this, Aunt Margaret has been a rock. She's become the loving family I never had, not just a place to stay. We discuss everything from her most intriguing medical cases to my most recent professional endeavor during our weekly dinners. I've learned so much from her about defending my rights and appreciating my own worth. 3 years of radio silence about Sarah and my parents. No emails, texts or phone calls. It was painful at first. However, as time went on, I came to see that their absence was enabling me to develop in ways that I could not have while living with them. I've created a proud life for myself, free from the need for approval and continual comparisons. However, life can be unpredictable. Last Saturday, just when I thought I had everything worked out, Sarah arrived at my door. I nearly failed to identify her. The air of superiority and the fancy attire vanished. She was wearing a basic sweater and jeans that had seen better days, and she had big circles under her eyes and her hair pulled up in a hurry. She looked discouraged. "Hey," she said in a little voice. "Can we talk?" Curiosity overcame my want to slam the door in her face. I opened the door for her. Sarah sat uncomfortably fidgeting on the couch. "I need your help," she blurted out at last. "The eatery is having problems. Serious problems. The family firm, she said, was close to going bankrupt. Our parents' much anticipated large expansion had turned out to be a complete failure. They were drowning in debt because they had overextended themselves and took out large loans. When Sarah said, "Dad's talking about filing for bankruptcy," her voice broke. Mom is in disarray, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Despite my best efforts, I am unable to resolve this. As I listened, I experienced a range of feelings. I had a sick sense of satisfaction. Wasn't this retribution for the way they handled me? However, I also experienced a twinge of, not quite pity, but a near feeling. "Why are you telling me this?" I inquired. "What do you expect me to do?" Sarah's eyes were filled with desperation as she gazed at me. "You're doing fantastically in your new work and with your MBA. I hope you may be able to assist, offer some guidance, or—" I understood what she was asking, but she didn't finish the phrase. She desired money. The black sheep is being rescued by the golden child. The irony was nearly unbearable. I said, "Let me get this straight," maintaining a calm voice. "After everything that happened, after 3 years of silence, you show up asking for help." Sarah was gracious enough to appear embarrassed. Quietly, "I know I messed up," she said. I felt envious. "All right. You were always so capable and intelligent. I lost it when I learned that Aunt Margaret was assisting you. I apologize." After 3 years, all she could do was apologize. It was dreadfully insufficient. "Sorry doesn't cut it, Sarah," I responded. "You have no idea what I've been through because of what you did." "I know," she responded, her eyes welling with tears. "But we're still related, aren't we? Family members support one another. Just give it some thought, please. Family." The word struck me hard. After everything that had transpired, were we still related? I informed Sarah that I needed some time to reflect. With a disappointed expression, she left her number and left. And now I'm here, attempting to decide what to do. On the one hand, I've put a lot of effort into creating this new life for myself. The familial drama, the incessant comparisons, and the sense of inadequacy have all finally left me. Is it really my intention to become entangled in all of it again? However, a tiny part of me still gives a damn. I feel something when I consider my parents' bankruptcy. Not quite pity, but also not disinterest. However, there is a part of me that sees this as a chance to show them what they lost when they rejected me. To definitively demonstrate that I am not the failure they have always believed me to be. However, is it worthwhile? After the way they treated me, do I owe them anything? And would things truly change even if I did help? Or, regardless of what I do, would I always be the second best daughter? Reddit, I'm conflicted. How would you respond if I were you? Should I defend myself and let my family work out their own problems, or should I assist them and run the danger of getting injured again? I've been thinking about it for the past few days, but I'm still not convinced. A part of me wants to step up, offer them a helping hand and pull them out of this mess. It might present an opportunity to re-establish our friendship on more equal terms. Another part of me, though, is screaming to go away. I'm still recovering from the profound damage they caused me. Would I truly want to expose myself to that suffering once more? Aunt Margaret and I have discussed it. As usual, she has been encouraging, telling me that she will support me no matter what. However, she cautioned me as well. Sometimes helping others means sacrificing yourself, she stated. Make sure you're not setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. I've been distracted recently, and my coworkers have noticed. Some have listened sympathetically, but I haven't told them the specifics. One of them stated, "Sometimes the most professional thing you can do is to keep your personal life separate from your work." That statement has stayed with me ever since. The MBA courses on crisis management and corporate turnarounds are still on my mind. It's likely that I could assist them and provide a strategy for escaping this situation. Should I, though? Am I accountable? What about the apologies from Sarah? Is it sufficient? Is this just another ploy, or can I believe that she truly feels bad? I'm also concerned about how it might affect my personal financial security. Even though I'm doing well now, I'm not exactly making a ton of money. Assisting them might jeopardize my future ambitions. One thing is certain, this time, whatever I decide, it will be on my terms. I've changed from being that insecure, terrified girl. No matter what occurs with my family, I will always be a strong, accomplished woman who recognizes her value. What do you think, Reddit? Should I put my own health first and let my family deal with the fallout from their choices, or should I offer them assistance? I'd greatly benefit from an independent viewpoint on this. Update 2. It's me again, Reddit. Things have taken a crazy turn since my previous update, and I can't believe I'm back so quickly. Do you recall how I debated whether or not to assist my family with their restaurant problems? The cosmos, however, chose to give me still another surprise. My parents arrived at my workplace a week following Sarah's visit. You read correctly, my office. They just showed up in the lobby one afternoon after somehow figuring out where I work. Talk about a systemic shock. My assistant buzzed me while I was in the middle of a meeting to let me know that 2 people were requesting to see me. My heart almost stopped when she told me about them. Feeling as though I was walking to my own death, I excused myself from the meeting and proceeded to the lobby. My parents were there, looking older and more worn out than I had recalled. Dad's shoulders were hunched in a manner I had never seen before, and Mom's hair had turned fully gray. The weight of 3 years of stillness hung between us as we simply stared at one another for a minute. Dad finally stated, "We need to talk," in a rough yet oddly diminutive voice. I took them to a coffee shop nearby since I didn't want to have this discussion at work. An uneasy hush descended upon us as we sat down with our beverages. Determined not to make things easy for them, I waited for them to speak. Mom was the first to break. She added, "We were wrong," in a shaky voice. "We ought never to have expelled you. We ought to have paid attention to you. We sincerely apologize. Over the last 3 years I had dreamed of this moment countless times, but now that it was actually occurring, I felt nothing. There was only a hollow emptiness, no relief, no joy, not even rage." Dad added his voice. "You should return home. We can overcome this difficult period as a family once more." To give myself some time, I took a drink of my coffee. "Why now?" At last, I inquired. "Why after 3 years of silence?" After they looked at each other, I realized there was more to this tale. The depth of their desperation became evident as they started to explain. The restaurant was a total failure, not merely having financial difficulties. In addition to going overboard with the expansion, they had been taking shortcuts and breaching the law to stay afloat, including tax evasion, health code infractions, and even some dubious supplier transactions. They now faced possible criminal penalties in addition to bankruptcy. Dad said, "We need your help," in a voice that was just audible above a whisper. "Your business knowledge, your connections, you could save us?" Stunned, I sat there. My parents, who had dismissed me on false pretenses and had always viewed me as second best, now viewed me as their only hope. "Let me get this straight," I remarked, finding it difficult to maintain my composure. "You kicked me out, believed the worst of me without any proof, didn't contact me for 3 years, and now you want me to bail you out of your illegal activities?" Mom attempted to grasp my hand as she reached across the table. I retreated. With tears in her eyes, she continued, "We know we don't deserve your help. However, we remain family. We're at a loss on what to do, so please." Family. That word was used once more. However, as I observed them, I came to the realization that they were no longer members of my family. Aunt Margaret, a member of my family, had given me unwavering support. My family consisted of the friends I had established at work and in my MBA program who respected me for who I was. I inhaled deeply. I said, "I'm sorry," and I was surprised at how composed I felt. "But I am unable to assist you. What you're asking, money isn't the only factor. You're asking me to sacrifice all I've worked so hard to achieve, including my job and principles. I'm not capable of doing it." Their shocked expressions were nearly funny. They obviously didn't think I would say no. Anger colored Dad's face. "After everything we've done for you," I interrupted him. "What have you done for me?" "You mean denying me support for my education when you paid for Sarah's, excluding me on false pretenses and favoring her throughout my life?" Now Mom was crying aloud. "Please, sweetie, we'll lose everything." I experienced a little pang of guilt. Then I thought back on the previous 3 years, including the hardships, the suffering, and the development and accomplishments I had made on my own. I stood up and said, "I'm sorry you're in this situation, but these are the results of your own actions. I am unable to save you." "We'll be ruined," Dad yelled as I turned to go. "Is it your preference?" I stopped and turned to face them. "I want you to accept responsibility for your actions," I stated. "I want you to understand how much you lost when you threw me out. What I really want, though, is to be free of your drama and manipulation." I left my parents behind and left the coffee shop after that. I felt as though a burden had been lifted as I entered the street. I had finally chosen myself, set my boundaries, and confronted them. However, the tale doesn't stop there. I gave that confrontation a lot of thought. I came to the realization that merely leaving was insufficient. My parents' actions were unlawful, and if they persisted, others might suffer harm. I therefore had to make a tough choice. I reported what I learned about the restaurant's unlawful operations to the appropriate authorities, including the police, the IRS, and the health department. Although I knew it was the right decision, it wasn't an easy one. The consequences were severe and quick. Screaming and sobbing, Sarah called me and accused me of ruining the family. I don't know what grounds my parents believed they had, but they alternated between pleading for assistance and threatening legal action in their voicemails. But I didn't back down. I informed the authorities of what I knew and made it apparent that I was not involved in any unlawful activity. Aunt Margaret was there for me during the difficult few weeks, reassuring me that I was acting morally. Although the inquiry is still underway, the eatery has reportedly been closed while a thorough audit is conducted. Sarah and my parents are facing severe legal repercussions. Although it's not a joyful conclusion, it's a fair one. In my case, I'm doing all right, actually better than all right. With everything, there's a feeling of closure. The harmful family dynamics that hindered me for so long have now been broken. I have a successful career. I've even received an approach regarding a possible promotion. I feel like I've found a true professional home because of how supportive my coworkers have been during this process. I've never been closer to Aunt Margaret. After everything calms down, we're arranging a trip together, so we have something to look forward to after all this worry. I'm not going to act like it's been simple. There are times when I question whether I made the correct decision and feel bad. However, I know I made the correct decision when I think back on all the suffering they inflicted on me, including the years of manipulation and partiality. Here I am then. I felt confused and alone after being evicted from my house 3 years ago. I am now independent, prosperous in my work, surrounded by individuals who truly care about me, and at last free from my family's poisonous influence. Although some may have wished for a joyous family reunion, this is my tale, and I'm glad of the progress I've made. Remember this: if you're struggling with toxic family members or tough choices, you have the right to put your own health first. You are entitled to establish limits. Additionally, there are instances when the family you choose matters more than the one you were born into. I appreciate Reddit's support along this journey. You have no idea how much your guidance and assistance have meant. Cheers to fresh starts and making our own happiness.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.
Karen claims to be the owner's wife in my parents' restaurant and ends up embarrassing herself. I am 18 years old. We offer snacks, cakes, candies, and several fast items in the small restaurant my parents run. Let us just refer to it as Joe's. It was named after my grandparents. Yes, I do pay. Normally, I hang out there with friends to have something whenever I have free time, and this helps them to pay as well. Working at Joe's pays me, especially on the weekends as it gets really busy. I pick orders and assist others with service. We do indeed have staff members. Along with paying me for the hours I work, my dad lets me keep the tip money clients leave after dining. Few of the frequent patrons are aware that my parents, the proprietors, also work there. I am the son of the owner. People commonly confuse them, nevertheless, for employees. One weekend, a woman, probably in her 30s or 40s, entered the restaurant with her bratty child, who appeared to be roughly 13 years old. Given it was the weekend, the place was somewhat packed. She was advised to take a seat on one of the waiting seats. About 20 minutes later, she sat down at a ready table. I went to get her order. I can't precisely recall what she ordered, perhaps a sandwich or something. I handed the order to the kitchen and stood next to the register monitoring whether anyone needed anything. Her bratty child was running around the restaurant, yelling, running over people, treading on their feet, even touching their food. Naturally, the mother seemed unconcerned and preoccupied on her phone. This infuriated me much, hence I grabbed the child by his hand and angrily instructed him not to run in such a strong manner that he started crying and ran back to his mother. Fuming, the mother stripped across to me. The discussion proceeded as follows. "How dare you touch my child?" the entitled mother says. "Me? He was flitting about upsetting other individuals. Surely you noticed he was handling their food." "Well, he's a child," says the entitled mother. "He is free to do as he likes." "Me? Well, yeah, but under my supervision." "Do you even know who I am?" the entitled mother asked. Thinking, asterisk. Here we go again. Knowing what was about to happen, I chose to participate, asterisk. "Me? No ma'am, I'm not." Entitled mother. "Well, then you ought to know. I am the owner's wife. You're getting fired, so you made a big mistake and I will make sure your face won't be seen here again." I started to find amusement at this stage. I assumed she would say she was a friend or sister of the owner, but she opted for asterisk wife asterisk, hence now I could have some fun. "Me? Ma'am, I doubt you even know his. She served me. His name is insert my dad's name here, says entitled mother. She knew my dad's name, which startled me since only a small number of people knew that fact. Me. Ma'am, please don't get me fired. I'm so sorry I was nasty to your son. I just have this job. Entitled mother, you should have considered that before you touched my son. Me. But ma'am, he was frustrating. She once more cut me off. Title mother. Shut up. She marched across to the cashier and insisted on talking to the manager. Coming out, my dad asked her what was happening. Entitled mother. Your staff member has been buzzing my son. I want him to be let go right now. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I can't just fire him without reason, my dad answered after staring at me then back at her. Do you even know who you're talking to? Entitled mother asks. The owner of Joe's is married to me, hence I find this staff unacceptable. My dad smiled the most of all. Entitled mother. Why are you laughing? I am sincere. Dad, I apologize for any trouble once more. Are you looking for a refund? The entitled mother entered complete fury mode and exclaimed, You know what? I'm grumbling about you and your company on my phone to my husband. We'll have you sacked right now. We posted it on a board outside for home delivery orders, hence she picked my dad's phone number. She gave that number a call. My dad's phone rang. Shock rocked Karen, the entitled mother. Taking up the phone he said, Hello, this is Joe's owner, how could I assist you? As if all the blood drained from Karen, her face turned from red to absolutely white. Yes, I am the owner and manager of Joe's and you are not at all my wife, he said. And my son is the employee you wish sacked. She stared at me, and my laughter started to flow uncontrolled. Her order came ready just then, but by then she was already ashamed enough. Her child was wailing all through the backdrop. We still giggle about her dragging him out by the arm, not following the instructions, and without even taking the order. Man, I find it hard to understand how long OP let this continue before saying anything. He actually had not really needed to say anything at all. She called the number outside and spoke with the owner personally, hence the only reason the entitled mother discovered he was the son of the owner and she was not the wife. She chose the wife role straight ahead instead of other possibilities like OP considered, such as becoming the sister or friend of the owner. She simply asserted, rather boldly, to be the wife of the proprietor. I wouldn't have been able to resist shouting something like, Mom, you finally came home, remarked one of the funniest remarks, then tried hugging her while faking tears of joy. Following up, someone remarked, That would be awesome and hilarious. And I have a younger brother as well. Were you expecting Dad when you left? Is he a half-brother? Better still, the larger the scene is. People begin by pulling out their phones and filming the entire event. Tell me what you would score this entitlement level 1 out of 10 and down below in the comments. Now to the next story, story 2. Ex-husband begs to come back after miserable life. I laughed and called it karma. Am I the asshole? My ex-husband divorced me 3 years ago. When we got married we agreed that we weren't going to have kids. I never wanted them, he said he didn't really want them. So yeah. 4 years into our marriage he changed his mind, and he chose to divorce me because I wouldn't go back on our agreement and give him children. I'm not really a big believer in divorce. I was ready to be married for the rest of our lives. We had a good marriage, but I guess he didn't love me that much if he picked kids that didn't even exist over me. Right after our divorce he almost instantly remarried. He got his new wife pregnant right away, and they have 2 kids together. In the 3 years since then I've finished my higher education, and have accepted a high-paying job in healthcare. Life has actually been pretty good for me, and I've gotten to the point where I think I'm ready to start looking to settle down. Yesterday morning my ex-husband showed up on my doorstep crying. I figured something pretty awful must have happened so I let him in, and got him a drink. He started going on and crying about how awful his life is. He apparently hates his 2 kids, one of them is disabled and maybe autistic and he has no money due to the kid being so expensive. His wife yells at him all the time, she got fat after having kids and doesn't want to lose weight, she never puts out, he can never go anywhere anymore. He said that he wants a divorce from his new wife and he regrets ever leaving me. He asked if I would take him back, and said he learned his lesson. I couldn't help but laugh at him. It was so pitiful. His audacity also kind of astounded me. I told him that with 2 kids to support and his lack of loyalty he is not a catch, and I definitely won't take him back. And maybe this was karma for divorcing me. He was pissed, called me an asshole, and said he thought I would be more supportive and would at least turn him down nicely. Am I the asshole? Now to the next story, story 3. Am I the asshole for exposing my dad's girlfriend after she tried to kick me out and faked a pregnancy? I'm M20, and I was a former foster kid. I was never adopted before I aged out, but I was placed with Joe when I was 10, and we were long-term matched by the time I was 14. Joe's the only real family I've ever had, and I consider him my dad. Even though the whole adoption thing never happened. When I first moved in with Joe, he was married, but his wife passed away suddenly when I was 12. That was tough on both of us, but we managed to get through it together. Now, Joe's been dating his current girlfriend, Sarah, for about 2 years. She didn't come over much, and when she did it was pretty brief. But 3 weeks ago she moved into our house because she lost her job and couldn't afford rent anymore. I don't know if she was always like this or if moving in has brought out a different side of her, but Sarah's been acting really strange. Whenever Joe isn't around, she completely ignores me, won't even look at me when I speak, won't answer questions, nothing. At first I thought it might be some kind of anxiety thing. But now it started getting worse. For example, when Joe's at work and I'm in the lounge watching a movie, she'll come in and start blasting TikTok on her phone or playing music, totally disregarding the fact that I'm there. When I ask her to turn it down, she just flat out ignores me. And it's not just the ignoring that's the problem. She started saying some pretty nasty stuff about me too. She FaceTimed her friend while I was in the room and talked about how lazy I am and how I don't contribute anything to the household. Yesterday, I was sitting on the sofa watching the new Deadpool movie when she came and sat across from me, FaceTiming her friend again. She started talking about how she and Joe are trying for a baby and how excited they are because neither of them have had children before. Those exact words. It felt like a slap in the face. I know Joe wouldn't have said something like that because he considers me his son. So either she's making it up, or I don't even know what. I haven't told Joe about the things she's been saying to her friend because I don't want to mess up his first real relationship since his wife died. But this situation is seriously eating me up inside. I mentioned the situation to a few people and a couple of them suggested that I secretly record her behavior when Joe isn't around so that he can see what's really going on. It seemed like a good idea at first, but when I talked to one of my close friends about it, he said that secretly recording her could just make things worse. He thinks it might make Joe feel like I'm going behind his back and could cause even more tension, especially if Sarah twists it to make me look bad. So, WABTA if I secretly recorded her to show Joe what she's really like, or should I just avoid it altogether? I don't want to seem like I'm trying to sabotage his relationship, but I'm not sure what else to do. Relevant comments. November 8485. You need to talk to Joe. You can record it in case he doesn't believe you, but you need to talk to him ASAP. And you might also have to work on your exit plan in case it backfires, which it can. People in love do strange things at times. NTA. OOP. I don't think Joe would ever kick me out, but you're right, I should have a backup plan just in case. Call 20. So many parents kick out kids when a new relationship forms and the kid doesn't get on with the new spouse. Don't be blindsided by something that is a huge possibility. You're an adult. Joe's GF could have the very easy argument that you're an adult and need to move out so they can work on furthering their relationship. Having a child together would absolutely be a reason he would side with her. NTA, out of curiosity, you have only explained that you lounge and watch TV. Are you contributing to the household in any way? If Joe's GF is contributing to the household, I can see why she would have an issue floating with you. OOP. Well, I'm still at college. Americans would call this high school. But it's summer. As a foster care leaver, Joe is paid £300 per week by the government to support me until I finish. This will carry on until I finish university or until I'm 25, whichever is first. I also get universal credit which I use for most of my expenses. OOP goes on to state, high school usually ends at 18 here also, but I've had to redo some learning that I missed. Huge_Lime 826 Get your ass off the couch and contribute to the home. Seems to me you are too stupid to realize that he will pick his girlfriend bedmate over a 20-year-old taking up space and pissing off his hot girlfriend. You don't realize it, but unless you start contributing your days are numbered. So you're off school for the summer. Why don't you have a job to go to every day instead of sitting your ass on the couch? OP. Who hurt you? Huge_Lime 826 Nobody hurt me. But I did have enough common sense to get my ass off the couch and not play video games as a 20-year-old and then bitch about somebody who actually is contributing to the household. If he doesn't believe the girlfriend is more important to Joe than he is, he has blinders on. Just wait until she has a baby. He needs to wake up and get his ass off the couch and contribute to the family. 20 years old is not a time to be sitting on the couch playing video games to get a job. Automatic_mirror_ 825. It's time to fly out of the nest, find a job, and/or college. Build your own life. You are an adult, young, male, with lots of opportunities. Sorry _I guess responding to automatic _mirror _825. This young man didn't have a stable home until he was 10. He went through a traumatic childhood, and his life's trajectory is not the same as most people's, so developmentally it may be important for him to take a little longer to feel safe and confident. Hell, he's still finishing his secondary education due to those complications. And you have literally no idea what opportunities he does or doesn't have. As long as his father is happy to have him there, who are you to tell him he needs to leave home? What a shitty, presumptuous thing to say. Silent Prune 8103. Going to school isn't contributing to the household. Doing chores, taking out the trash, preparing dinner, doing laundry, sweeping the floors, vacuuming, doing repairs around the house. Contributing to the sustainment of your family's home and health of it so it doesn't burden others. That's my responsibility. If she finds herself or Joe doing all of this, then I would be annoyed as well. You're an adult. As an adult you should be contributing without being told the responsibilities of maintaining the home. I would say getting a job as well at your age. Many folks go to school and have a part-time job, but if that's not the case you can help around the house. I guarantee if you're doing those things, Joe and possibly her will have a different positive opinion of you. Update. I decided to talk to Joe directly instead of secretly recording Sarah. I thought it would be more mature, sensible, and non-confrontational to handle things face to face. My mindset was that if he didn't take it seriously, then I'd consider recording to show him what was really going on. When Joe got home from work, I asked him to talk privately in my room. He seemed a bit confused at first, but I made it clear that I wasn't trying to sabotage his relationship. I just needed to tell him that some things Sarah was doing were making me uncomfortable. I reminded him about how she ignores me and mentioned how she plays videos while I'm watching TV, but when I told him she said that he didn't have any children and that they were trying for a baby, he looked really upset. It felt a bit awkward, but Joe called Sarah into the room to talk with us. He asked her if what I said was true and she immediately denied it. You could see from her body language that she was lying. I'm not sure if she just never expected me to say anything about how she's been treating me or what. Joe firmly told her that this is my house, not hers, and that while she's a guest here, she can't be disrespecting me. Things got a little heated, and in the end, she apologized to me, though it was through gritted teeth. I accepted the apology, even though I'm not sure it was genuine. After that, Joe asked if I was still comfortable with her staying with us. I said I was because I didn't want to break them up. I just wanted to tell him what was happening. However, she decided to stay at her friend's house for the night, which made the situation feel even more tense. I can tell Joe is really upset now, and I feel super guilty for making him feel this way. He insists it's not my fault and we ended up having kebabs for tea, but even so I can't shake the feeling that I've caused a huge fight between them. Joe went to bed early, and now I'm stuck feeling bad about the whole situation. I just hope that whatever happens next, things will settle down. Thank you everyone. Update 2. So, about a month ago, things seemed to be getting better, at least on the surface. Joe and Sarah got back together, and I gave them my blessing because Joe really wanted it to work. Sarah even moved back into the house, and she was actually being decent to me, which was a change. But honestly, I always felt like she was just putting on an act. I had this nagging feeling that she still didn't like me and was only being nice because her other option was to be homeless. It all went downhill really fast though. Less than a week after moving back in, Sarah announced that she was pregnant with Joe's baby. And that's when the real chaos started. She dropped this ultimatum on Joe. Either I move out, or she'd break up with him and make it impossible for him to be involved with the baby. Joe was torn because he didn't want her or the baby to be homeless, but he also made it clear that I wasn't going anywhere. I'm his family, and he wouldn't kick me out for anything. So Joe told Sarah that they'd have to break up for good after she gave him the ultimatum. He even kicked her out again. That's when things got even crazier. Sarah started messaging Joe, saying she was going to get an abortion because she couldn't afford to be pregnant. Joe, being the good guy he is, offered to send her money and even pay for her rent so she wouldn't be homeless, but she kept playing games. Anyway, I was borrowing Joe's iPad one day and I saw that Sarah's iMessage was still linked to it. I accidentally stumbled across her messages to a friend where she admitted she wasn't pregnant at all. She was just lying to get money from Joe and had this whole plan to drag him along for months before pretending to get an abortion. She even said she was going to make Joe's life miserable because he kicked her out. I felt sick to my stomach reading those messages. I took a screen recording of the entire chat, including the phone numbers and everything so she couldn't deny it or say that it was faked. When I showed Joe, he was completely heartbroken. He stopped sending her money, but now he's unsure about what to do next. He's even thinking of reporting her to the police for fraud. But part of him just wants to cut her out of his life completely and move on. I've never seen Joe this hurt, and I feel so guilty because I know all of this is stressing him out. I'm still in shock over how horrible Sarah turned out to be. Even with everything that's happened before, I never thought she'd do something this low. Now, we're just trying to figure out how to move forward from all of this.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.